Hello everyone, welcome to the video lecture series offered by the Postgraduate Department of English, Payyanur College, Payyanur. Today we are going to learn the poem The Election written by Sitakant Mahapatra, which is included in the paper Readings on Democracy and Secularism. So first let us learn something about the author. Sitakant Mahapatra, he was born in the year 1937. And he writes in two languages. That means he is a bilingual writer and he writes in Oriya and in English. And in his poems we can see that he is not having a kind of romanticized version of reality. Instead, he is very much concerned about reality itself as it is and the social problems that are around us. So in this poem also we can see that the poet is talking about the current situation, the current problems of democracy in India. So let's start the poem. So before starting the poem, please understand that the narrator of this poem is a politician and he is visiting a rural village in India. And why he is visiting a rural village in India? Because it is election time. So the narrator of this poem, along with some other politicians, they are actually in a kind of election campaign. And these campaigners are visiting a very remote village in India, and we are listening to what this politician is talking. So the narrator is a politician who is visiting the rural village in India during the election time, and these politicians are in a kind of election campaign. And you can see that in this poem, in the first part, you can see that the poet is actually criticizing the politicians, but when we reach the last stanza, we can understand that the poet is actually criticizing the common people of India. He is actually criticizing the citizens, the common people of India, because of our lack of concern and because of our problems in raising our protest and all, the system is actually failing. So the poet is criticizing the common people of India. And let's start the poem. First I'll read the first stanza. Our jeep crawls to your village, seeking strange melodies from the roaring sun. The common will from the crisscross geometry of private agonies. So let's see, these politicians are moving towards a village, and they are actually traveling in a jeep, and this jeep is crawling to the village. Why this jeep is crawling to the village? Crawling means you are moving in a very slow manner, in a slow paced movement. You are going towards that village. Why you have to move in a very slow manner to that village? Because of the condition of the roads that are there in the village. So understand that it's a very remote village and nothing, no kind of improvement had happened to that village. So the condition of road is also very bad. That is why the jeep cannot move in a fast manner. So the jeep of these politicians, the election campaigners, this jeep is crawling towards that village. And these politicians, they are seeking for some strange melodies from the roaring sun. So understand that during the summer season and all, especially in Orissa and that part of the country, you can see that it is very hot. So it is scorching heat there, it is roaring sun there, and these politicians, why they are crawling towards that village in this hot season? They are leaving their comfortable zones. Why? Because of the common will. For you common people, for the purpose of democracy, we are coming to you. So we are leaving all our comfortable zones and comfortable positions, and we are coming towards you under this scorching heat just for the purpose of democracy. And we actually want a kind of acceptance from your part. We actually want a kind of gratitude from you villagers. Who's saying? The politician, who's the narrator of this poem, he is saying so. So you can say the double attitude of the politician here. On the one side, these politicians are living in a very comfortable manner. They visit the rural areas of the country or the rural villages and all only when there is election, just to get their votes during election. And they offer so many things, but they give nothing. So the condition of the villagers always remains the same. And even then, this politician is saying that we are doing everything for you people. We are suffering all these things. We are crawling towards your village. We are suffering all the problems of this roaring sun just for the purpose of democracy, just for you people. So we need a kind of acceptance from your part. You people should realize that we are suffering all these for you people. So you should show us some kind of gratitude. So that is why the term strange melodies is used here. Melody means you need a kind of harmony when there is melody. So under this roaring sun, from these villagers, we are actually demanding a kind of strange melodies. That means we are actually demanding a kind of acceptance from your part. You should understand our problems. You should understand our worries when we are coming towards you. And this politician is not at all worried about the condition of the poor villagers. He is only thinking about his comfort zones, and he is only thinking about his improvement and his selfish motives. And he is saying that these villagers should understand that we are suffering all these things just for you people, so you should welcome us. You should show some kind of gratitude. You should understand we are doing everything for you people. And in the same stanza you can see that there is a phrase, crisscross geometry of private agonies. So this idea is having two meanings. On the one level, it is talking about the geography of that village itself. You can see crisscross geometry. That means the village is not at all perfectly built. You can say on the surface it is having a kind of zigzag symmetry, crisscross symmetry. The roads are in a zigzag manner. So it is the geography of the village itself. On the other side, you can see that the faces of the poor villagers are also in a kind of crisscross symmetry. That means crisscross geometry is there in the faces of these villagers. That means their faces are completely wrinkled because they are suffering so many things. They are having their own private agonies. They are having their own personal problems. Because of suffering all these things, their faces are completely wrinkled and all. So from this wrinkled faces of these poor villagers who are having so many personal private problems, from these people we politicians expect some kind of acceptance, some kind of gratitude, because we are leaving our comfortable zones for serving the purpose of democracy. We are coming here just to meet you people. So we are suffering all these things. So please accept us. Show some kind of gratitude from your part. So we are welcoming, we are expecting all these things from you. So that is the first stanza of the poem. So in this stanza you can see that the politician is having a kind of double attitude. On the one side he is completely selfish. On the other side he is saying that he is leaving all his comfort zones and all his good conditions just for serving the poor people. But he is actually doing nothing. He is simply showing off. And he demands some kind of acceptance from the poor people with the wrinkled faces, who are suffering all the private agonies and private problems, personal sorrows and all. So that is the first stanza of the poem. Now let's see the second stanza. Our dark longings don't touch you, nor our trappings of posters, symbols, speeches, handbills, for your grief outlives empires. So the politician is saying that we are having our own dark longings. Dark longings means secret ambitions. You know that these politicians, they are not at all innocent in one sense, because these politicians are having a very secret kind of ambition inside their mind while they are showing a different kind of attitude outside. Because by serving the community, they are not serving the community, they are just showing off by serving the community. Instead, they are only fulfilling their own selfish needs. They need money, they need power. For that purpose, they are actually coming there. And they are having all these secret ambitions for power, money inside their mind. So in order to fulfill these dark longings, in order to fulfill these secret ambitions, they do so many things. What they are doing, they make some kind of posters, symbols, handbills, and they are actually providing you some kind of speeches and all. And by doing all these things, they are actually trapping the poor villagers. And by doing all these things, they are actually making the poor villagers to vote for these politicians. In fact, all these kind of activities, the posters, as making symbols or providing speeches or distributing handbills, all these things are trappings from the part of we politicians. We have our own dark longings, we have our own secret ambitions, and we are doing all these things just to get your vote. And why we need your vote? We need your vote not for serving your people, but for improving our own condition. That means we need your vote for our selfish motives. And these dark ambitions, with all these kind of trappings of posters, speeches, handbills and symbols, they don't touch you. You're not at all bothered about these things. You're not at all concerned about these things. These poor villagers, they are not at all concerned about our dark longings and our trappings, because these things don't touch you. Why? Because you have your own problems. You are always worried about your problems. You are having your own miseries. You are having your own private agonies. You are having your own personal sorrows and problems. So all these things that we are doing here, nothing will affect you. You are not at all concerned. You are not at all bothered. And whatever we do, nothing can cause some kind of changes in your lifestyle also, because we are doing everything for our own purpose. We are not doing these things to improve your condition. So whatever we do, it won't affect you, and you are not at all concerned about what we are doing. So we live our lives and you live your lives there. So that is the second stanza. Now let's see the third stanza. The cold grandchildren awaken in your heart as you discern muted allegories on our ashen faces. So the politician says that you can see our ashen faces. Ashen faces, this particular expression is having double meaning. On the one side, they are actually, this ashen faces actually indicate the ash covered faces of the politicians, because they are traveling a lot. They are crawling towards a village. It is roaring sun, so the dust and all these things covered the faces of the politicians. So that is the direct literal meaning of the term ashen faces. On the other side, we can also assume that these politicians are wearing a mask. On the inside, they are having secret ambitions, dark longings. On the outside, they are wearing a very innocent smile. They are covering their secret ambitions and personal motives, selfish deeds and all these things with a very innocent smile. And this mask is actually mentioned by the term ashen faces. So when these poor villagers, they look at the faces of these politicians, these ashen faces of these politicians, they can see some kind of muted allegories. What is the meaning of the term muted allegories? Muted allegories means some kind of facial expressions. These politicians, they are having some kind of facial expressions, but you cannot decode the real intention behind the facial expressions of these politicians. Also, it is termed as muted allegories. Anyway, when these politicians, when these poor villagers, when they discern the muted allegories, when they look at the facial expressions of these politicians, again there arises some kind of hope in their mind. These poor villagers then think about their cold grandchildren. They will think about their lifeless grandchildren. They will think that, okay, if I do this time, sometimes some kind of change may happen to my lifestyle. Sometimes some kind of improvement will happen to the lifestyle of my grandchildren. So when these villagers, they see the faces of these politicians, some kind of hopes are awakening in their mind, and they think about their grandchildren, and they hope that some kind of improvement will come in their life in the future if they vote for this time. So that is the meaning of this third stanza. Now let's see the fourth stanza. Here, the great persuaders are little things and not so hidden. Cheap plastic, cheap nylon, dark glasses to blot out the sun. So now the poet is saying that the politician is the speaker, and the poet is saying that these politicians, they are the great persuaders. They can persuade these poor villagers in such a manner that these poor villagers will come and vote for them. And they don't have to do much things to get these villagers' vote. They simply have to do some kind of offering very cheap gifts like cheap plastic, cheaper nylon nets or cheaper nylon dresses, or cooling glasses to wear while they are out in the roaring sun. So these cheap things are needed for these for these great persuaders, for these politicians, to trap the poor villagers in such a manner that they will come and vote for these politicians. So they don't have to do much greater things. They don't have to provide a permanent solution for their poverty. They don't have to do any kind of improvement for their geographical or geographical problems or anything like that. They simply have to provide some kind of very cheaper gifts like cheap plastic, cheaper nylon, dark glasses, etc. Now let's see the last stanza. With one foot in hunger and the other in the sword, you make your decision. The anguish of choice. So that is the last stanza, and this is the most significant part of this poem. Here you can see that Actually, the villagers, they understand everything. They know that election comes and goes. The politicians will come. They do come to their village only during elections, and they won't appear again. All these things are known to the villagers. Even then, they decide to vote. And how they decide to vote, how they make this decision to vote. They make this decision to vote by keeping their one foot in hunger and the other foot in the soul. So on the one side, they will be thinking about their poverty. They will be thinking about their cold grandchildren. They will be thinking of their basic selfish motives. They want some kind of solution for their poverty. On the other side, they have their soul. And what is there inside the soul? They will be thinking about higher democratic values. They know that this is not how the system should work. They know that this is not that they need. They know the problems of the system. They know that they should demand their right. They know that they should raise their voice against these problems and all. Only then they know that there will be a permanent solution for their problems. So on the one side, they are having higher democratic values. That means their soul is on the one side. On the other side, they are having their thinkings related to their hunger, poverty and all. And by standing in between, again they decide to vote. And what is this decision? This decision is not at all peaceful. This decision is not at all happy. They are actually making a choice to vote, and this choice is very miserable. It is completely anguish. They actually make a kind of anguish of choice. This choice is completely born out of their mental pain. So this is not how a proper democracy should work. When you decide to vote, you should be completely satisfied with the system. You should not have an anguish of choice. You should have complete peace when you decide to vote. This peace is not there for these poor villagers. That means they simply decide to vote because they need a kind of very basic solution for their poverty. They are having simply false hopes while they are deciding to vote, and they know that nothing will happen to them. They know that these politicians will come and go. No change will happen to them. So they are actually making this decision, and this decision to vote is actually completely a result of a mental pain, a mental agony and all. So this is not how the system should work. If you want to vote, this decision to vote should come from completely come out of a completely peaceful mindset. This is not happening for these poor villages. That means that there is some problem with the system there. If you decide to vote, it should be completely out of your your own personal will, completely out of your personal will. Nobody should force you to do vote. If you decide to vote out of compulsion, if you decide to vote out of your anguish and mental pain, that means there is some problem with the system. And the poet is criticizing the system, not the system. The poet is actually criticizing the people themselves. Why? They are not thinking about their higher democratic values. They simply forget their soul. They simply think about their poverty, and they just demand very minimum things. That is not that is not the thing that we need actually. We should have some kind of the common people. They should have some kind of higher democratic values. They should raise their voice against all these kind of problems. Only then the system will change. Only then the democracy will work in a proper manner. Otherwise, poverty remains there forever. Nothing will change. The poor villagers, they will have to suffer forever. So here in the last stanza, you can see that the poet is completely shifting from the politician side and the poet is completely criticizing the common people for making a kind of anguish of choice, for deciding to vote without thinking about higher democratic values, without thinking about their soul. So thank you. That is the summary of this poem. I hope it is clear.
Now, let us discuss the short answer questions given in the text. The first question is, what is the context of the poem? Answer, the poem is set against the backdrop of an election. A group of politicians or election campaigners are visiting a remote and underdeveloped village for persuading the poor villagers to get votes. Second question. Infer the consequences of the strange melodies of sun. Answer. The strange melodies of sun suggest the heat waves from the scorching sun. It suggests the visit of campaigners to the extremely hot village and the ultimate selling of the mandate or vote by the poor villagers after being trapped by the tactics of the politicians. Third question. What does crawling suggest about the place? Answer. It suggests that the village is a remote tribal one situated uphill. The village is also an underdeveloped one. Fourth question. What is Commonweal? Answer. Commonweal is the will of the people or mandate. Fifth question. Why didn't the trappings touch the villagers? Answer. The trappings didn't touch the villagers because they have greater sorrows which outlive empires. Their misery would remain therefore ever. Sixth question. Could the villagers read the muted allegories? Answer. Yes, the villagers could read and identify the muted allegories or hidden intentions of the election campaigners. Seventh question. Explain the dark humor in the phrase great persuader. Answer. The politicians are the great persuaders who, by using different tactics, can convince the villagers to vote for them. But these great persuaders do not have to do great things to persuade the poor villagers. They just need cheap things to ensure votes because the villagers are living in a pathetic situation. Question number 8. What is the anguish of choice faced by the people? Answer. The anguish of choice is the mental pain felt by the poor villagers when they sell their votes. They are compelled to sell their mandate by keeping one foot in hunger and one foot in soul. Ninth question. Explain the reference to empires. Answer. Empires may suggest the power of ruling parties. Parties and governments may change, but the grief of the poor people would remain the same. Thank you.